Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Welcome to WHW Monday. Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson.
Jim Crockett First Arcade, 605 NWA, TV title, Cajun Omni, the Bunkhouse Stampede. Flair and Horsemen, Garvin, Bogey, Magnum, Dusty, Express Tag Team, Turner, Bart, and Mid-South Joint World Championship Wrestling.
Talking about the great years of World Championship Wrestling, the NWA, and Jim Crockett Promotions.
Tony and Friends North, they win. Look, Schiavone's back again. World title split off, center stage, Bischoff, Disney, Hogan, and Nitro, New World Order, and The Crow. Thunder, Russo, Arquette Champ, Vinnie Mac, simulcast. Tony's back with Conrad, not your classy podcast. Watch along, try not to laugh. Lowest rules, cat back. This wasn't the initial plan. Thompson's a good-looking man. Klondike Bill, make a chant. Tommy, you come over here.
What happened when?
WHW Monday. And now, let's go to the ring. And here's your co-host. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
Staying safe, staying healthy, had your shot, no viruses, doing great. Any diarrhea? How's everybody doing? Getting a hard on? Good.
Wow, I like that little preamble to get us going today. I want to take a time out before we get going. We got a lot to unpack here, just real life sort of housekeeping stuff. Today we are going to be watching World Championship Wrestling from March 15th, 1986. So if you haven't already, fire up your WWE Network, click on In Ring, scroll down until you see World Championship Wrestling, click that, then select 1986 from the drop down, and you want to find March 15th. It shows a 1 hour, 26-minute runtime, and Tony and I are going to watch along with you. But we should just go ahead and address the elephant in the room right up front. No, I'm not talking about Stan. I'm talking about the idea that the migration from the WWE Network to Peacock, at least here in America, allegedly won't be complete until right before SummerSlam. And I've seen mixed reviews or mixed statements as to whether or not it will just be all the pay-per-views or if all the old Crockett TV will be there as well. So you and I have been peppered with questions. What are we going to do about our 1986 watch-alongs? And the answer is, we don't know.
Don't know.
I know that sounds like, disappointing, I'm sure, to some of you, but we don't have any inside information as to what or will not be available on the WWE Network. Yes, we could probably, ask Bruce or text Vince, but they probably have more important stuff going on with WrestleMania around the corner. So we're just going to wait and see. That being said, we're going to try to get ahead as many as we can, but there's no way we can knock out all of 86 before SummerSlam. So we're going to do our best, but if we have to call an audible, we'll press pause and then we'll do our silly shit we always do. And then we'll come back and pick up where we left off. Right?
Yeah. Why don't we just bootleg some of this shit?
Oh no, here's the thing. I'm going to be clear. I've got every episode. But that doesn't mean that folks at home would have a way to watch along with us. They could hear us, but I think eventually, I don't know, but I think eventually this footage will be populated again. And by the way, if you're international, from what we understand, nothing changes for you. So I'm a little jealous, but if I'm also honest, Tony, I feel like if that's the case and international fans keep the WWE network exactly as it is, if that rumor is true, then there's going to be a whole bunch of smart internet geeks, people smarter than me or you, who can say, oh, well, just use this VPN and it'll make believe you're in Manila, and then it'll take your $10 PayPal and you can we'll figure out what that is. But we want to present 1986 in its best form possible. And I think it's best enjoyed when you're at home watching along with us. So we'll figure it out. We might, adjust the format a little bit here on WHW. I've got some ideas, but to say that we have a firm concrete plan would just not be honest. We didn't really expect that all of that stuff would go away. I sort of thought they'd been working on all of this and it would just be, a different login.
Well, I would think, and I don't have all the research, nor do you, and I'm sure somebody does. I would think that the old stuff where you click in ring and you go down, you look at all the old TBS stuff and you look at all the old territory stuff, I would think it's pretty good for them. Now, I know it's not anything like WWE fans out there watching the current stuff. I get that. I understand. But I would think there's a place where fans wanting nostalgia. That's why they put it up in the first place. So I think there's some things out there that tell them, hey, we should at least, I don't know, we should put it on. So that's what I think. But I've been wrong before.
The rumor and innuendo is that it is a tiny percentage of the audience that actually looks at the old stuff. Everybody is consumed with obviously the new pay-per-views, but the new WWE specials and new releases. So whatever's new and out in front of you, and that makes sense because it's not like they're really promoting the old stuff. With our, all the hype we've built around Crockett era stuff this year so far, I had more than a few people say, man, why don't you and Tony just figure out a way to buy the JCP library? I don't think that's happening, folks.
No, I have many other great ways to piss away my money, and I'm not doing it there.
I can't imagine a scenario where Vince would ever turn that loose.
Yeah, I mean, me neither.
I know he valued once upon a time the traffic that we drove there, but their whole model's changing. But as to what will happen with our model, we're not sure, but we will be transparent with you and we will be honest with you. But it's funny, Tony, that was announced, and within minutes I had, so Conrad, I know you have a plan. What's your plan? Bro, I found out the same time you did. We don't know.
Well, maybe we'll just watch some of the current WWE stuff and shit on that.
No, that doesn't really tickle my fancy. I'm going to take a pass on that. Hey, I do want to mention too, a little peek behind the curtain. You and I put a bunch of shows in the can before we got together in Jacksonville in real life. But today is the first day we've been able to talk, on air about that experience. We recorded quite a bit of bonus stuff for adfreeshows.com. How would you describe our sort of table for four with me and Eric Bischoff and Jim Ross and yourself? If you had to describe that, when that drops, what should be the description?
Hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, LOL funny, if I can use that term.
Bischoff couldn't catch his breath and you had to take your glasses off to wipe the tears away. JR was on another level.
It is the JR that you and I talk about behind the curtain all the time.
Yeah.
That's just an absolute wonderful, curmudgeon, entertaining motherfucker.
Yeah. Just follow him around with a camera, click record.
Yeah. He just, the way he can phrase things.
Oh God, it's the best.
It's just amazing. So it was a lot of fun. And I had thought, you and I talked about this beforehand. I had thought that there would, because there was some heat there. There was when JR left and Eric took over.
Right.
I had thought it was a bad idea.
Right.
I told you, I said, maybe that's not so good to do that because I don't want them to get into one of their big arguments, but Eric's beyond that.
Yeah,
you know,
he didn't care.
He really is. He's really beyond that. And really JR is too.
Yeah.
So it worked. It was another peek behind the curtains. The curtain is that we had to get JR to this location. And that was a fucking adventure just to get him there. And I thought, oh, by the time he gets here, he's going to be so fucking miserable. And he really wasn't. He was, but he wasn't as miserable as I thought.
He just had to get it out of his system.
Right.
And we knew what to do. You have that man a BLT ready, and you have him some Moscow mules and a rare bottle of Crown Royal, and you're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be fine.
Amongst other things, yeah. And so it was just, it was a great night. It was an unforgettable night. And I can't wait to share that with our fans on ad-free shows. I really can't.
And starting next week, we've got 3 weeks worth of WrestleMania Countdown Gold. I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know that we necessarily want to reveal it yet, but you and JR had some fun and people are going to really dig this, are they not?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, pat on the back, JR, he came through for us. He really did. Did some good work for us. And I'm really, really happy and really proud to be able to bring you that stuff. So we got some good stuff coming up here, within the next couple of weeks, months. And, I'm very excited about it. And, you know, sometimes, you've done this before. We go to Jacksonville. You guys come to see a couple shows and, sometimes it doesn't go as planned.
Yeah.
Kind of like an exploding ring. Sometimes doesn't go as planned.
Right. Occasionally.
But in the end, it all works out, and it did on many levels. So there you go.
I also want to mention the Dynamite I got to be there for happened to be the Dynamite where Tully Blanchard returned to television in ring action, wearing his old United States Championship title around his old robe. And of course, flanked by FTR wearing the old Crockett tag straps. And how poetic is it, Tony, that on the day that J.J. Dillon and Tully Blanchard and those old Jim Crockett belts were back on a Turner station in prime time, that's the very day that Mr. Crockett passed away.
It's kind of like the universe aligned.
It is.
And it was sad that Jimmy passed away. I think I mentioned this, that I spoke to him a few days before he passed away, which was very difficult to do, but good.
You actually didn't talk about that on this show. We put all the shows in the can before he passed away. So I know you appeared on Jericho's podcast. It's funny. He asked me to be on that show and I said, man, I'll be driving back home that day, but you should get Schiavone. And he's like, oh, I didn't think about that. So I'm glad you were on there because, you know, you sort of credit Mr. Crockett with your whole wrestling career, right?
Well, yeah, you got to, because he's the one that said, okay, let's use him.
Right.
He could have said no. And then I'd be stuck doing minor league baseball the rest of my life or something to that effect. And be broke. But he's the one that absolutely said, okay, I want to use you on doing Ric Flair.
Right.
I want to use you on doing promos in the back, as we all called it. And I'm going to use you on TBS. So it was his decision to make. So yeah, he's the one that started my career. Without him, I would not be a wrestling announcer, I don't think, because it just so happened I didn't seek out becoming a wrestling announcer until I realized that the baseball team I was working for was Jim Crockett Promotions.
Right.
So I don't think I would have looked at becoming a wrestling announcer had it not been for Jim Crockett and him saying yes. So I owe him everything. I've talked about this before. I owe his family everything. I of course have talked to David. I called Jackie and talked with him. I called Francis and talked with her. All of them to give my condolences. And I got to talk to Jimmy when he was in the hospital a few days before he passed away, because David called and said, Jimmy wants to talk to you. That's a tough thing, man, when you hear that and you know the end is near. And he could not, I told him, I said, it's wonderful talking with you. And I'm so sorry about your health declining. He said, well, it happens. It's going to happen to everybody. And I said, yes, sir. And then I went on to tell him how much I thought of he and his family. And he did not answer. And I said a couple more things and he did not answer. And so David said, okay, Tony, we hear you. Thanks very much. And I said, okay. And I hung up. Then I texted David later. I said, did he hear and understand everything I said? And he said, yes, he just couldn't formulate an answer quickly enough. Mm-hmm. So he did hear it. And that's good stuff. The fact that he passed away is obviously not, but the fact that he passed away on the same day that we had Tully and we saw Arn come out with the 4 Horsemen and JJ and the old belts.
That's cool.
That is cool. That's going to be, it's another way to just mark that day down on your calendar and say, yeah, I remember that day. It was a special day in wrestling. So,
I don't want to be a shill, but I also want to mention that Chris on our team put together an incredible tribute video that we played at the end of our conversation with Mr. Crockett on adfreeshows.com. But it was so good. I thought, man, I just need to put this out for everybody to see. So I put it on my Instagram. It's at Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. And I sent it to you. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days before we posted it. And I also sent it to the Crockett family, and they were thrilled with it. And, it's a weird time. I know I'm probably sharing a little too much here, but even now, they don't have a real plan as of yet for Mr. Crockett because of COVID. And unfortunately, Mr. Crockett's widow, Myra, her father has passed away since as well. So she's lost her father and her husband back to back in a COVID era. So I was thinking maybe I'll post this video when we know that he's officially situated. I don't know. Yeah.
Had a memorial for him or whatever they planned to do.
Yeah, let's celebrate him that day one more time. But since we didn't know, I thought I don't want to sit on this anymore. I just want to share this because I'm so proud of it. And I know you're not you're more of a Bob Seger fan more than the Highwayman, but man, Chris hit a home run on that video. Did he not, buddy?
Yeah. Chris McDonald is the low key MVP of this company.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. What a talented kid. He's Canadian.
We'll forgive him
for that. But a talented kid. We'll forgive him for that, but he is. And, has he stopped answering the phones for a hospital late at night?
I think he's doing it only part-time now. For the last 2 weeks, he's full-time with us, baby.
Woo, there you go. Good stuff.
Listen, if you haven't already, go check it out. If you want to see the Crockett interview, I would love for you to. It's at adfreeshows.com. It feels weird to promote that right now. We did our best to pay tribute to him. I feel so lucky and so privileged to have the opportunity to talk to him. And, it's funny. I don't mean to be all sappy, but I told the guys when we were in Jacksonville, I said, when we first sort of launched this whole Conversations with Conrad series, I think we all thought it was for Jim Herd because Jim Herd had just been a recluse for 30 years. But in reality, given the timing of everything, it was undoubtedly for Jim Crockett. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we would have waited 2 weeks to get that interview, it wouldn't have been possible.
Right.
But the idea that he got to tell his story with class and dignity and share his sort of lifeline. I mean, what a nice thing that will be for the family and the grandkids. And hey, I mean, I wish I had that for my grandfather, and I don't know, I'm just really proud of it. And I got to know him as a person, that day and just spend the day with him. And it was phenomenal. So it was the best experience I've had. Most important thing we've done for sure in wrestling. And it's over at adfreeshows.com. But even if that's not really your jam, and I get it, go check me out on Instagram. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. And just watch that video. I'm not plugging it for likes or follows. I couldn't give a rip less, but I think you need to see the video to understand the context of what he meant to us. And I just thought it was a great song, and Chris did a home run job, and I hope everybody checks it out. And I hope that you're here with us today to go relive some of the good times, man. 1986, March 15th. I've got to fire it up on my end, Tony. I'm just waiting on you to give me a countdown, and we'll get this show on the road, baby.
We got a very special countdown today. And I had to slap him in the side of the head to get him to do it, but I'll be more than glad to do it any day of the week. So let's go to our special countdown.
This is Dean Malenko. Tony, I really, really never liked you from the beginning. 3, 2, 1, play.
Championship Wrestling, bringing you great wrestling action, sanctioned by the NWA, National Wrestling Alliance.
Hello once again, everyone, and welcome to World Championship Wrestling. I'm Tony Schiavone, your host for this exciting program here today as you're ringside with the NWA, the Major League of Professional Wrestling. Now, last week we told you we would have a special on the tournament, tag team tournament for the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup coming up at the Superdome. Of course, that'll be with us a little bit later on here today. U.S. Heavyweight Champion Magnum T.A. is here. The National Heavyweight Champion Tully Blanchard with James J. Dillon. Dusty Rhodes with Baby Doll. Magnum T.A. Nikita Koloff. Many other top stars. Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. The World Tag Team Champions. The Midnight Express. And many, many other top stars. We're ready to go. Let's go to the ring.
How about Tully wearing the robe from Dynamite right here?
Isn't that something? And that's the National Heavyweight Belt. Okay. Got it. Which was kind of like the U.S. belt, only it had a little bit of gold around it, right?
Hey, I don't mean to be, boy, I'm not trying to be negative when I say this, but realistically, that was probably J.J. Dillon's last TV appearance, or one of them. How fucking cool was it that we got to see J.J. on TV one last time on a Turner station?
Yeah, it was very cool. He looked great. He really did.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we brought him in. I'm glad they used him on TV instead of just showing him in the audience, walking out with him.
Yep.
And it was really cool to be in the backstage area with he and Arn and Tully. And of course, backstage with us in that one, what we call the coach's room, stays Jerry Lynn.
Yeah.
And Jake the Snake stays back there. And Dean Malenko. And you're talking about just a wonderful room to set in when you've got like 20, 30 minutes. It's the best. It is that coach's room. I mean, I'll go in there and laugh till I freaking cry.
I was sequestered outdoors with Eric Bischoff, who sort of set up shop on the little sectional there behind the promo photo area. And one by one, as everybody came in, we got to say hello and chit chat. But the best is when JR would come over and just hold court. Cause JR, he's well past give a shit.
Oh yeah.
Well past.
Oh yeah. And that's one of my goals now in life.
Is to just get to his level of don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just lets them rip, man. Just one after another. Just,
right.
It's tremendous. So yeah, Eric Bischoff really got a double dose of JR that weekend, and we all had fun with it, but it was so cool to see JJ again. I just know realistically, JJ's probably not looking to get booked and be on TV every week. And it's not like AEW necessarily needs him. So
sure. If
that was our last time we see JJ in sort of a primetime role, I'm glad he got what I would call a quote unquote proper send off,
Yeah. And I'm going to do a little shilling here. Congratulations and a pat on the back to all the EVPs and Tony Khan for realizing and appreciating the past.
Oh my gosh. It's such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you and JR sort of set the tone for that, but you see what they've done with Jake Roberts and Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson and so many others. It's just cool, man. And I got to tell you, one of the coolest things that's ever happened in my wrestling fandom was being backstage that night after Tully finished his match. They cut a promo, just behind Gorilla. But then there's like that talent viewing area that everybody has to walk through in order to get into their dressing rooms and whatever. So Eric and I just happened to be back there hanging out, just waiting on those belts to come back. So we get to our Airbnb and get out of the way and just watch the rest of the show from home. And when he came through, man, every staffer, every employee, every rigger, every producer, every talent, all stood and clapped. And I don't mean like a standing ovation, like until he acknowledges it. I mean, as he made his way through the crowd, because there's like a little aisleway pathway that guys could walk through. He shook every hand and he was grinning ear to ear. You could tell what an important moment that was for Tully. It was a happening to the point where Bischoff, who normally doesn't sell shit with wrestling, it's just like, been here, done that, whatever. He turned around and looked at me and went and like held his arm up like I have goosebumps, because it was one of those moments that we talk about a lot on the show where that was real.
Sure.
That was not, hey, let's do our best to care and let's put on a show and let me pretend. Oh no, that was real. And everyone was paying homage to one of the best performers. And he never really got that send off, and now he did. And you could tell, even he didn't have to say it. You could just tell what it meant to him. It was one of the coolest moments of my wrestling fandom. And I laughed. I wanted to watch that match in the crowd. So we went and stole a seat. Eric and I did, with Sam, the security guy's permission. And, when Tully hit that fucking slingshot, man, I was giggling like a little kid.
Yeah.
It was such a cool moment.
Yeah. And I got to even say it. I got to even call it slingshot suplex, which I was very proud to be able to nudge my way in and be able to say that. And so that was that. There you go. There you go. Slingshot suplex. I want to say something else about that Tully walkthrough that I did not see because I was obviously doing the show.
You were busy.
I was busy. I was busy doing other things, saying that's right, JR, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that slingshot suplex is still just a great move. When the end is coming, let's go to Tony Schiavone.
They are Tully Blanchard Enterprises.
You hear out of place? First words out of your mouth should be congratulations to the new National Heavyweight Champion.
Congratulations, new National Heavyweight Champion.
That was a very hollow congratulations. You should be more excited because what you saw was a classic demonstration of wrestling skill and how it should be done. It was like taking candy from a baby.
I tell you what, Tony Schiavone, you get a lot of people out here that lack maybe a little bit of experience, but they get in there and they do their best and they fight. This guy right here embarrassed his family and everything else. He didn't want to fight. He was in such awe of being in the ring with the National Heavyweight Champion. He didn't know what to do. But that's where you got to take your hat off to the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. At least the 2 times World Heavyweight Champion and former World Television Champion and former National Heavyweight Champion and former superlatives I can't even say, but they all start with former. Dusty Rhodes will get in there and fight you, as you saw last week with the greatest match, where the best man did win. The new National Heavyweight Champion, Tully Blanchard, along with the administrative director of our corporation, James J. Dillon.
Well, where do we go from here? What is the obvious question? What is the next great step? The Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup was obviously the next thing in mind because we got the insurance. Now we're talking about picking up $1 million payday, and that's a lot of bucks. And it's coming soon. We're talking about April in New Orleans, and we're going to be right in the thick of it. In fact, we should be seated number 1.
We're coming right back.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, I know that's not the original song, but they at least picked a good one for him, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Look at the kids. Tully Blanchard, classic interview right there. Shitting on the guy who did a horrible job for him and putting over the booker. Just zoom. I love that. I love when they bring real life into their stuff. I always love that. So Tully walks through, and I heard about that. There's another moment that I need to talk about. I can't talk about it this week, but I'll talk about it next week. Remind me, okay?
Okay.
And that happened backstage. Actually, there's been this will be the third moment. There's been 3 moments that happened backstage where I know beyond a shadow of a fucking doubt, that our company is going to be successful. And Tully Blanchard's was one of them. The other was when Eddie Kingston, I don't know if it ever got on social media, it may have. Eddie Kingston addressed everybody in the back after we did the thing for John for Brody Lee. Eddie just...
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, right from the heart.
Yeah.
And then something happened this week too that I'll talk about next week. That I know that we're doing things right as a company. I know we got a great leadership. I know Tony Khan's a good guy, and you may be listening to this, rolling your eyes, say Schiavone's sucking up. But I don't want to dig down to this too far because you get into the weeds with this bullshit and you can't pull out. But so many people give him shit online and say bad things about our fucking company. And Meltzer and I talked about this before we recorded with Jericho the other night. And it was great. It was actually great talking to Dave. Dave and I had about a 20-minute conversation before Jericho even came on. And it blows our mind that people are out there wanting companies to fail. Why would somebody be that way?
Yeah.
And why? What is wrong with your personality? What was wrong with your upbringing? Were you raised by a couple of parents who were on meth? What is wrong with you to be that way? I don't get it. And so may you rot in hell.
Oh, wow.
For the rest of your fucking lives, you nothing happening pieces of shit. Whoa. That being said, hey, Jimmy Valiant, man, he had a great talk. He was tremendous. And this guy he's working with, Bob Owens, is not that much better than the last guy, Don Turner.
Help me understand. Why did you get so heated right there?
Because it just makes me mad. I mean, not many things make me mad. I mean, you can shit on me all you want, but to shit on what we do, you just don't fucking get it. And of course, I get it. Most of you are WWE fanboys. I understand. And I understand how you feel. And many of them are probably just, and anyway, so it just gets me fired up when I hear that, because I just know how many great things we're doing, how great of a company we got. And yeah, we make mistakes. Hell yeah. Everybody makes mistakes. But fuck, it's just a wonderful place to be. And you saw that. You saw how happy people were in the back.
No, I've seen it every time I've been there. I mean, listen, no place is without politics. Not in sales. I mean, it's not exclusive to wrestling. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's problems everywhere. Things could be better everywhere. Blah, blah, blah. No, there is no utopia. Mm-hmm. You know, well, I guess there is, but hopefully nobody we know gets to go there soon. But still, it's just like, come on, can we just be positive?
Yep.
I'm positive this will be good.
Answer from the Russians on that lucrative contract for this U.S. heavyweight title. And Magnum, you just got to wonder, maybe it's the Kremlin behind this, not letting the Koloffs sign any contract.
Well, you know, I'm getting a little fed up with all these political negotiations to begin with. This is professional wrestling. I don't really care what the Kremlin wants. I don't really care what Nikita Koloff wants. But what I'm tired of is waiting for the time to come around when he has enough guts to walk in that ring with me. Now, it's real plain and simple. United States heavyweight title is what he wants. I signed a contract. Whether he thinks it's lucrative enough or not, that's beside the point. It is a fair contract. Jim Crockett Promotions wrote it all out. Everything's on the up and up. And I'll defend the United States Heavyweight Championship against Nikita Koloff whenever he deems it fit to get himself in that ring, get himself all fired up, and come try to take me out. You know what I think the problem is here? That on reviewing all the things they've done, Ivan Koloff's realized that maybe he's pushed his nephew Nikita in a little over his head. Maybe he's pushed him into a situation where he's going to embarrass all of Russia by showing all the people out there that they're not half the athletes they think they are. Now, Nikita, you always look real good when you're blindsiding people, when you got somebody else out there helping you. But the fact of the matter is that when we were out here fighting on television, if there hadn't been about 20 guys to come pull us apart, you might still be laying out here on this floor. This belt's around my waist. This is the bait. This is the challenge that I'm presenting to you. The contract signed when you're man enough to walk in the ring. Then and only then will we settle this issue.
All right. Those words from the U.S. champion, still the U.S. champion, Magnum T.A. Let's go to the ring.
Okay. Did I really blame the Kremlin for all this angle?
Yes. Now, in fairness, he's been talking about it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so have the Russians. So you double down on it. But yeah, that's a little stupid.
Yeah. Well,
maybe a lot stupid.
Yeah. But you know, it's 1986, right?
Sure.
Cold War. It's Cold War.
Yeah. You got to sell it, baby.
Got to sell it, man. Absolutely. So, man, I was so thin and young and good looking and happy back then.
Man, I'm going to tell you, you seem like quite the ladies man down at AEW. I don't think you need to worry about that. Just have a big glass of water. There you go.
Yeah. So you were saying that you probably thought I want to clear things up here.
Yeah, we should definitely switch gears. We don't want to double down.
No. We're not switching gears.
Okay.
You thought that the best part of you guys being sequestered in the back there was JR coming and seeing you, but you know, the best part was Rebel coming back to see you.
I can't speak on that.
Yes, you can. You can you couldn't speak at that time.
No,
because it looked like,
take my breath away.
It looked like 4 guys with their mouth agape.
Well, if we're going to be pervs here, here's what happened. You came over and you said, "Hey, have y'all seen Tully?" And I said, "Yeah, he just came by a minute ago. It was great to see him." And then you said, "Have you seen so-and-so?" And I said, "Yeah." And then your eyes get big and you say, "Have you seen Rebel?" And I'm like, "No." And you said, "She should wear jeans every day of her life." And I said, what? And he said, don't leave. I'll be right back. Hey, Rebel, look, it's the adfreeshows.com group.
Oh, yes, sir.
And yeah, I was like, okay, I get what Tony's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you did. And of course, as you know, Britt's a good buddy of mine, and she wanted to take a picture with Eric Bischoff so badly.
Oh, that was fun. When he came back around, I said, oh, so look, you still got it. He said, I never lost it. It was just fun. Eric had a good time. I can tell sometimes when Eric, you know, he's happy that wrestling's in the rearview mirror, but then he'll go and just get to do the fun stuff, like hanging out backstage, not really working on the show. And then, you know, they come get us 5 minutes beforehand, that type of deal like we had. He's like, dude, this is fun.
Yeah.
You know, that was a fun day.
And in real life, I've said this so many times, and they keep me young on the road. Britt and Rebel are friends of mine, and we do hang out. And they like to hang out with me because they know I'm harmless, number one.
Of course.
And then now we've got, Gallows and Anderson hanging out after the show, and you got to run from them or you'll be drunk for 5 days.
Yes.
So you got,
No, not drunk. I think the term they use is overbrothered.
Yeah, overbrother 5 days, because I'm thinking, oh boy, the alcohol content just really, really ratcheted up after the show now. So yeah, I'm sure they're thinking I'm avoiding them.
Well, they're right.
Because I am.
Yeah.
Because I got work to do the next day, and I can't stay out till like 7 or 8 a.m. and drink.
But if you could, you'd like to do it with them.
I'd love to do it with them. They'd be the best. So, but you're
not going to remember much of it, but people will tell you afterwards you had a great time.
Right. There's that brainbuster suplex by gorgeous Jimmy Garvin on one of the Mulkeys.
That gets it done.
You know, I liked the sequined, whatever he calls that.
That's heat, man.
Yeah, that is heat, man. Kissing his wife before and after. Beautiful hair. Just, Jimmy was good, man. Jimmy had a good run with Ric Flair, too. All right, here we go.
What a promo.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Wahoo McDaniel is a very close personal friend of Dusty Rhodes. And I have one word for Jimmy Garvin from Wahoo McDaniel, and that is he's coming. Don't worry about these guys that you may beat on TV. That's fine. But Wahoo McDaniel's after you.
All right. That was words from Baby Doll to gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with Precious. We'll be back right after this timeout.
Have you ever seen more misplaced confidence in your life than Baby Doll at a promo?
I know.
Lord bless her. She did her job,
but
she'll say the most elementary sentence ever and put her hands on her hips like, now what, motherfucker? Follow that. And here he is.
David Crockett on special assignment today. The Columbia School of Broadcasting is using him today as a bad example. I know, Tony, you're being just happy to fill in for him. As a matter of fact, I'd be happy if you'd fill in for him permanently. Now, a lot of things going on, and Tony, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to ask you for a sensible opinion for once, and if you can muster it up, give it to me. The Midnight Express are the World Tag Team Champions, is that right?
That's correct.
So then it's a foregone conclusion we're going to be the #1 team in the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup $1 million tag team tournament, right? Foregone conclusion.
Well,
we got to be the #1 seed, right?
I'm sure.
I'm glad you agree. We got to be the #1 because we're the World Tag Team Champions, and that means that we're the best there are. And now, Road Warriors. I understand the Road Warriors won a title shot. Precious Paul Ellering mouthing off. Let me tell you something, Ellering. What you better do with your Road Warriors is you better get a little bit more finger paint and put it on their faces, and you better get them in the gym and get them in shape and then take them out in the ring and have them beat somebody credible and get a little bit of a reputation and then come see me, because right now they are just not ready for the Midnight Express. I would hesitate to think what would happen to them if they got in the ring with a couple of guys as tough as Loverboy Dennis and Beautiful Bobby. Now, Rock and Roll Express last week on TV, everybody saw they physically attacked me, Tony Schiavone, like cowards. They attacked me 2-on-1. You were standing right here. You know they did. They tried to beat me up, and even two of them, as you can see, could not finish me off because I'm a tough, macho kind of guy. But that's the kind of people Rock and Roll Express are. They're back jumpers. They're cowards. They like 2-on-1. They didn't want to stick around 1-on-1 with me where the odds would be even. They wanted to double up on me. Rock and Roll, you're cowards. You're back jumpers, and you're never going to get the World Tag Team Championship belts back because the Midnight Express is more than capable of taking care of you. And you're trying to put me in that cage, you two punks, and I promise you something, there's going to be a lot of trouble, because that's the only reason they ever wanted me to put me in a cage in the first place, is because they're scared of me and they're scared of the greatest team in professional wrestling today. Loverboy Dennis and beautiful Bobby, the Midnight Express.
Boy, how hot was that crowd for the rock and rolls?
Wow, man.
It was unbelievable.
I don't even think they were prompted.
No, they saw him and they were chanting it. I mean, that lets you know that it's working. I
think Columbia School of Broadcasting using David Crockett as a bad example was right off the cuff type. He also had I was thinking about when Baby Doll was doing her promo, Jim had a line, I'm not going to get it right, and this was more recent than back then, where he said Tim Horner's promos were like a guilty man doing a deposition. Just he could say it, man. I know he said it better than that, but look how Bobby would look. They would do some subtle, creative shit in the ring, and boy, the more I watch this, the more I miss the old days.
Dude, it's the best.
Yeah.
Let me give you an idea. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
What if there is a temporary pause in our 1986 venture?
Mm-hmm.
What if we started reaching out to some guys from that era and having some conversations with them to fill some time?
I like it.
I know we could get Bobby and we could get Dennis, and certainly we could get Ricky and we could get Robert, and we could probably stretch a little bit of time, but still be sort of on brand. Now listen, if we get the word that, hey, it ain't coming back, then we'll make a different decision. But if we're thinking, I was got to buy a few weeks here or there, no big deal, I think we'll be okay.
We could get Ronnie Garvin. We probably could get Jimmy Garvin.
Magnum, Tully, Arn, JJ.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying there is sort of companion pieces that we could do with this while we sort of get everything sorted out.
Right. And we're going to try to get as many, in the can as we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get ahead. Yeah.
And I know that sucks because a lot of folks won't be able to watch along with us, but we'll still at least have some holdover. By the way, have you had a chance to listen to the new Kurt Angle show that drops on Sundays yet?
I have not.
I think you would dig it.
Okay. Kurt
is, very transparent. We just recently recorded a show on his rookie year. It was actually a 2-parter because his rookie year was so big. I mean, think about this. They did an undefeated streak and he won the Intercontinental title and the European title at the same time. Then he won the King of the Ring, and then he beat The Rock to be world champion. That's all in his first year of the business.
That's getting a pretty good push.
Well, what I was surprised about is he offered on his own payday information.
Oh.
And that's something that even when you go back and you listen to like the very first episodes, oh, look at this. He's making him clean his shoes. Did you see that?
That's what I'm saying. They would do so many,
they
would do so many creative, subtle things. And look at him.
Talking shit. Let's track it.
Loverboy Dennis with a big knee. Look how tough these guys are, man.
Anyway, just saying, I think you would dig that Angle show.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to check it out. Cornette is saying how tough the opponents are. And so what Dennis was doing, he was having that guy, putting that guy's arm around him. And Dennis was screaming, help me, help me.
Great stuff.
Yeah. I loved him. I really, really did. And
him on the butt. Here, go tag out.
There you go.
It's almost like when you were a kid, because you had like 38 brothers and sisters, right?
No, I had one.
I look at him just smiling during the offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, like with my sister, and I guess with all brothers and sisters, when you're little kids, somebody starts to like take the other person's fist. Like, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Right. Look, Mom.
Yeah.
They're hitting yourself. Yeah.
The Midnight Express here are doing stop hitting yourself on broadcast. On cable television.
Right. Look at this. This guy's flopping
trying to
around.
swim away.
Conrad's looking like, what the fuck do I have here? Oh, now he's going to grind him up a little bit. There you go. Oh, this was not a good day for job guys.
No.
This was not a good. This guy is like, Well, at least he's selling, buddy.
Oh, he's doing his best.
Yeah. And so, they just are fucking with him now. Oh, God.
Oh, hey, speaking of 1986, we're getting going on the Macho Man Intercontinental that was debuted in either 85 or 86, but he held it until it was replaced years later. Anyway, that'll be coming out soon here to adfreeshows.com, but it's fun to go back and watch as we're looking for old footage here from Jim Crockett Promotions. It's fun to go back and watch old WWF TV in this same era just to get a flavor for what the competition was doing, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. And I was, this was during the era of Superstars and Challenge, I guess, back then.
Yeah.
Primetime wrestling.
Yeah.
Back then, maybe on TNT, on USA, and Tuesday Night Titans. I think they were going.
Tuesday Night Titans was the real deal.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. Vince was wonderful in that, man. It was just great stuff. They have poured this poor sap they poured him out of the ring twice.
Yeah. They're having fun just beating the shit out of these guys.
Yeah, they really are.
By the way, I want to give everybody a heads up. The last show here, was March 8th. Of course, this one's happening on March 15th. They had a 2 p.m. show in Roanoke, Virginia. They did $42,000 at the gate. That was a record. Later that day, they'd be in Atlanta at the Omni, and they had Rock and Rolls and Midnights in a cage with Jim Crockett in a cage, or Jim Cornette in a cage, rather. I think they called it Betty Lou. 79,000 was the gate that night at the Omni. So on that same day, 42,000, which was a record, and then 79,000 at the Omni. And here we go.
Of the press for being with us this afternoon. For over 50 years, the Jim Crockett organization has insisted on presenting the finest in quality and exciting spectator entertainment. For the last number of years, its founder, the late Jim Crockett Sr., brought to millions of fans the finest in professional wrestling throughout this country. This tradition of excellence and this highest standards of competition continues under the able direction of his family. Today, we're pleased to announce the selection of the host city for the 1986 James Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup, featuring the top talent in professional wrestling. After a lengthy review of the many cities bidding for this fine event, that final decision was made, and New Orleans, Louisiana was selected. We're here to present some of the details regarding that stellar competition, its all-star participants, and ticket information we know that all our wrestling fans will want to hear. With us today is the family of Mr. Crockett, including David, Jackie, Francis, and the president of our company, James Crockett Jr. But first, it is my sincere privilege to present the wife of our founder, Mrs. James Crockett Sr. Mrs. Crockett?
Thank you. I and my family are very honored to have this tag team tournament named after my late husband, Jim Crockett. He was one of the original founders of the National Wrestling Alliance, and we wish for the Superdome in New Orleans a big success on the first annual Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup Tag Team Tournament. And we look forward to possibly having next year's tournament in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, a word from the Executive Vice President of the New Orleans Superdome, Mr. Bob Johnson.
We at the Super. Did we just watch this same thing on syndicated TV the other day?
Yes, we do. Well, not the same thing. We saw the Bob Johnson interview.
Oh, we saw Francis talking too. I think we did both.
Oh, you mean Mrs. Crockett?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. I don't know. I don't remember seeing, because I worked with Francis so long, and that close up of her, she always she had a great laugh and always had a great sense of humor, and you could just tell she was ready to just bust out laughing there. Because I know Francis so well. And yeah, and this is part of Bob Johnson, and I think Jim Oshus, by the way, who's bored us all to death here, I believe he worked at the Greensboro Coliseum for years. And then Crockett's hired him along with Rob Garner. Here's Rob. Rob worked at WBTV for a long time in sales. And Rob and Jim Oshus came on and worked and started working for WCW when they were bought by Turner. And Jim Oshus, he was a good guy, and I don't know how long he worked for us. Rob Garner worked for us to the end. Jim Oshis, I'm not so sure, but I remember Jim Oshis had this thing in Atlanta, and this is during the WCW era. And they brought in, I believe I got this right, they brought in like event managers and building managers from all over to have a little get together. And Oshis wanted Dusty Rhodes to speak to them. So they had it at this place in the Omni. Oh, look at this.
Bill Apter.
Oh, God.
24-team field for the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup and the $1 million were prepared by the editors of Pro Wrestling Illustrated on March 9th. The top 10 seeds are, in the order of seeding, the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, America's Team, Dusty Rhodes and Magnum T.A., the National Wrestling Alliance World Tag Team Champions, the Midnight Express, NWA World Champion Ric Flair and World TV Champion Arn Anderson. From Canada, former AWA Champion Rick Martel and Canadian International Champion Dino Bravo. The Rock and Roll Express. From Japan, Tiger Mask and former NWA Champion Giant Baba. Also entering the tournament are the Koloffs from the Eastern Bloc. From Australia, the Kiwi Sheepherders, and finally, number 10, the Mid-South Tag Team Champions, Ted DiBiase and Steve Williams. Thank you.
Yay.
Can you believe that the Midnights are third?
Well, of course, my God, you see that kid in the tan?
Yeah.
All right, it's Andy Kaplan. The next kid is the guy that came after me to do and I can't remember his name. He did the Charlotte baseball team after I left. But Andy
we
Kaplan.
gotta listen to this, man.
Thank you. You know, anybody that's been involved in wrestling knows of the tradition of the Crockett family. And certainly, we were fortunate enough to start a tradition with wrestling in the Superdome. And it's become one of the greatest spectator events in the world today, and we were very pleased to go together with the Superdome management and be able to put a bid in that got this fantastic tournament for our fans, for all the fans in the world. And you're talking about history being made, something that could never be done. This is the inaugural event, the first time ever that this cup will be at stake in $1 million with all the top teams in the world today. It's going to be the most fantastic spectator event, something that no one can afford to miss. We do have one thing that we want to add is that I have always had a dream that the Superdome would be the site of the NWA World's Championship changing hands. And we've put together another lucrative contract to give our fans the opportunity to see just such a situation. And we've had Ric Flair pull out of the tournament for the $1 million in the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Trophy to defend his world's heavyweight title against a guy that I've been fortunate enough to be associated with a long time, tag teamed with some, one of the first headliners as a young superstar of the first Superdome event ever. The man that I feel can beat Ric Flair, where the fans will see the world's title change hands. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. I know, Bill, that's going to create some problems with some of the tag teams that are involved.
Well, we have studied this, and Magnum T.A. has chosen Ronnie Garvin to replace Dusty Rhodes because of his offensive ability, and Arn Anderson has taken Tully Blanchard on. However, the seedings will remain the same. Seedings will not change.
Well, I think it's going to be the most fantastic thing ever. We will have a surprise main event for the afternoon session. This is the first time ever also that we've had a tournament of this magnitude where there'll have to be an afternoon event to have the first round matches to get them out of the way so that when the people come for the evening session, they'll be into the finals. But we'll have a surprise main event, some great attractions. That'll be at $10 first come, first serve for the whole afternoon session. That ticket will not be good that evening. And then that evening, of course, this fantastic match with all the top talent anybody's ever dreamed of seeing in a fantastic tag team tournament, plus the World's Heavyweight Championship, and we hope to have one other great main event for that also. Thank you.
I thought Bill Watts came off pretty well right there.
Yeah, he did a good job. Well, Bill could do it, man. Bill was one of those guys you listened to and you thought, man, that fucker's
Speaking of fuckers.
So we heard the announcement from Bill Watts. You and Tully Blanchard are 4th seed. That's a pretty good seed.
Well, number one, Tony Schiavone, I want to talk about one thing. Flair discussed this with myself and Tully Blanchard, and we all felt that he should get a crack at Dusty by himself so he can pay back a few little things that Dusty's been doing to our family personally. So we decided as a unit that Flair would do this, okay?
Okay.
All right. Number two, the fact I should be seated number one is simply on the fact that I am world television champion. That's what's got me perturbed. Seated 4th is not good enough. I'm not 4th rate. Tully Blanchard's not 4th rate. Ric Flair's not 4th rate, okay? The fact that Tully's my partner, well, who else? Anytime you put a combination, it could have very well been Tully and Flair, me and Flair, or me and Tully. So that's fine and dandy. The only thing that's got me perturbed is the seating arrangement. You understand? But rest assured, we'll beat who we have to achieve what we have to, and that means $1 million split 2 ways, Tony Schiavone, as a hunk of cash. You understand what I'm saying?
I know that.
Now, that aside, you've got a young man up here, Michael Jackson, that last week you gave a plug as being a good athlete, as being a good wrestler, a lot of talent, granted all that. So what I felt, being the athlete that I am, being the world television champion that I am, I'm going to do what Dusty Rhodes never did. I'm going to go out here week in and week out and defend this world television title against only the top competitors. So we're going to give Michael Jackson a shot at the most prestigious belt in the world today, other than Ric Flair's world heavyweight title, Tony Schiavone, and right here on national television.
Okay. Arn Anderson will defend his world TV title right here, right now. Let's go to the ring.
What do you think?
I like it. It's going to be good because they always gave Mike Jackson a lot of, they gave him a lot as far as, and of course, as you said, at 95 years old, he's still wrestling.
Yeah. Mr. Alabama, baby.
Yeah. He was competing with Arn Anderson for Bald Spot of the Year too on this one. So anyway, Jim, this and it's funny. I remember the story. I remembered it vividly now. And I love how this show brings out memories for me. Jim Oshish had all the guys over, all the people who ran buildings, building managers. And I believe it was building managers, had this big meeting and wanted Dusty to address it. So Dusty was sitting in the back of the room with a tie on, dressed up, kind of like it was what we saw right there. And Jim Oshish says, we're going to have some speakers here in a moment. I want you, most of you know who that heavy-set gentleman in the back of the room is. That's Dusty Rhodes. We'll have him up here in a minute. So Dusty came back to the office, and this was during the WCW era, okay? Came back to the office and said, can you imagine that motherfucker call me heavyset? It gets better. He said, what? He said, motherfucker, heavyset man in the back of the room. He said, why would he call me heavyset? I said, maybe because you're a fat ass motherfucker. I don't know. I had that special relationship with Dusty. I really did.
What was his response?
He would just stare at me. But and a lot of times Dusty always said about me, he said, you're the only person out there can call me a motherfucker or tell me to kiss their ass and I don't get mad at. He said that to me a lot. But he called him, and I got to thinking, why would Jim Oshish call him that heavy-set gentleman in the back? Of course they all knew who Dusty was.
Of course.
Oh, God. But anyway, Jim Oshish then worked for Turner, and Rob Garner did, and Rob Garner was a Charlotte guy that was, knew the Crockett's very, very well, and worked pretty hard. And I think he worked under Eric too. I'm sure he did. I don't think Oshish did, but Rob Garner did. And we saw a guy on the end there, Andy Kaplan, when the tan I talked about in the tan. He was Francis Crockett's assistant general manager with the Charlotte baseball team, and I knew Andy when I started. He started the Charlotte baseball team at the same time. We became very good friends. And we had often said, this is before I got into wrestling, that whoever got to the major leagues first in baseball would get the other person in. And Andy called me one day and said, this was probably like 1988, probably. He called me and he had just gotten the job with the New York Mets in the front office. And he called me to tell me that. And he said, I'm going to hold up my end of the bargain. He said, you're going to be the voice of the Mets here within the next couple of years. And I remember thinking, wow, I knew how Andy was. He was a pretty driven kid, and I knew he would make an effort, but I didn't think much of it. And the tragic thing of that story is 3 months later, Andy passed away. Died tragically in his bed of a cerebral hemorrhage. But Andy was a good guy, man. Good. And then you saw Paul Bosch in there, too. Did you notice Paul with that raspberry colored leisure suit on?
That was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was cool. It was good. And you know what? This tournament was a pretty fucking cool thing. And of course, I'm still in my fandom years here. And so I'm getting to see Tiger Mask and Giant Baba wrestle. I'm getting to see Dino Bravo wrestle, Rick Martel. I hadn't seen them wrestle before. We even had, these were the seedings. They had other teams too from Mid-South that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, we just saw the top 10 there. There's 24 teams though. And
that's where I first met Bruce at that show. And I remember and they had a big board, I think it was like a maroon board they put in the back, and we moved teams around when they won and they advanced. And it was pretty fucking cool. I remember going, I can't remember the crowd, if it was big or not. I thought the evening crowd for Dusty and Rick was pretty good, but I just remember it being fucking cool.
How funny was it too, by the way, when we see, here's the top 10 seeds: Arn Anderson and Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff. All right, our next speaker. So Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair are no longer in that. Forget everything he just said.
I know.
What?
You know, I when I saw him do that, I remember that it was Magnum, and remember that it was Magnum teaming with Ronnie Garvin, because they ended up going to the championship against the Road Warriors.
Right.
And I remembered it was Ronnie Garvin and Magnum, and I remember, how did they make that switch? Did they announce it, and then a week later they announced we're going to change it? Hell no, they announced the change like 3 minutes later. It's like, that's Bill Watts being the boss, man. The hell, this may be the Crockett Cup, okay? But I want this world championship in my place, and I'm going to make the change. That's exactly what it is.
And of course it didn't happen. So let's recap again. We talked about our last episode was on March 8th that night. They were in Cincinnati, Ohio, and did $100,000 deal there, sold out. And of course the next day, 2 shows, matinee in Roanoke, we mentioned earlier, record $42,000 that night at the Omni, $79,000. They were off on the 11th through the 13th. I guess I glossed this over. They did a TV taping in Greenville, South Carolina. So you're going to see that on the syndicated show, but they're off the 11th, 12th, and 13th. And then on the 14th, the Midnights were on a show that sold out in Bassett, Virginia, $17,000 house. And here, of course, we're doing TBS tapings during the day, but that night we're in Charleston, West Virginia. It's an 8 p.m. show, does $40,000 at the gate. The next day it's a matinee show, and it does a sellout, $34,000. And Jimmy would say sold out the Asheville Civic Center with about 5,000, paying $34,000, both all-time records. Hundreds were turned away. That night they're in Cleveland, Ohio, a sellout again, $60,925. Jim Cornette wrote, the event sold out, 7,000 plus fans, a record gate, and had some turned away. If you're wondering how in hell these guys made this ridiculous schedule, early in 86, Crockett bought a refurbished commuter plane, a Gulfstream 2 that seated 18, and the top talent took this plane to the shows all over the East Coast. Later, a Falcon F-20 would be added, and the G2 would become known as the Jabroni Jet. Even with their own planes, the schedule would provide plenty of photo finishes in terms of getting to the events. So the Jabroni Jet, and those are the 2 planes, the Falcon F-20 and the G2. Greenville, South Carolina on the 17th. We've got 16,000 at the gate there. Mooresville, North Carolina is going to be a TV taping and only draws $14,000 at the gate. Raleigh has 14,600 at the gate. Macon, Georgia has 16,000. And then they're back in West Virginia, this time in Huntington. They've got nearly 6,000 fans in the Civic Center there, paying $47,000. Another sellout. West Virginia was hot for you guys in this time.
Yeah, sure was.
And Jimmy would write, the fans were so angry at the Midnight Express winning that they were mobbed trying to go back to the locker room. JC, swinging to fight his way through the mob, ended up with 4 arrest warrants for assault, but pleaded no contest, paid a $100 fine after the police corroborated his story that he was only acting in self-defense, and then back taping again. So before they get after this trip in the coming week, Cornette is going to pick up 4 assault charges. That's heat, Bubba.
That is heat.
We're going to sell out
Jimmy
some towns, get on our new plane, and catch a couple of arrest warrants.
Jimmy didn't back down. Cornette didn't. I mean, he was, I've told the story about, how if a fan would put their hand on him, he would fucking flip out. He would turn into the Jim Cornette you saw on TV with rabies. He was, hey, I appreciated it. I really did. I often looked at fans getting involved in wrestlers, trying to get physically involved in wrestlers as, stay in your fucking lane, dudes. But let's hear it for old time heat, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
No, nothing wrong with that, man. Arn Anderson giving Mike Jackson a lot of stuff here, isn't he?
Yeah.
Arn walked in the ring, said, "Now, hold it now." Now looking around at the fans like, what's going on here? See, this is the art of the shit. The art of wrestling. The art of wrestling is you know what it is, but you still buy into it.
Right.
That's the art of that's the art of wrestling, just very
agree.
simply. Yeah. And Arn, man, shaking that hand. I have so much fun with him now. Oh, man. It's just a lot of fun, man. What we do is fun, right? Are you still with me?
Yeah. I'm just letting you do your thing, man. You're basking in your Crockett glory.
Yeah, no, I was just saying wrestling was fun back then, and it's even more fun today because, like Arn and Brock got to the building earlier this week.
Yeah.
And they went to work out. And Arn said, "Did you get the Uber?" And Brock said, "Yeah, I got it." And I said, "Where are you going?" Arn said, "I'm going to go work out." I said, "You go watch Brock work out?" Because I just give him shit.
Sure.
And he just looks to me, over top of his glasses, and he hits me with these one-liners. When's the last time you worked out, fat ass, or something like that?
Right.
And it just wonderful banter back and forth that I'm able to rekindle again. Did the dog just sneak up on me here?
I didn't see him.
No.
Bug's in his bed.
Yeah, Bug's been sick.
What's wrong with Bug?
He's got diarrhea.
Wait, Doug has,
Bug's got the shits, yeah.
How? But why?
I don't know. I think we gave him a treat that didn't settle with him the last 2 nights. I've literally been up all night with him because he'll start growling in the middle of the night and barking like I want to get out. So I let him out, back in, go upstairs. 20 minutes later, he wants to go back outside. So, whatever he wants, but he's doing okay here today, I think. Aren't you, buddy? Yeah, he's a good boy. So anyway, I'm kind of rambling here, but it's just wonderful being able to say that you were there for this, and even in many parts, say I was able to be there for WCW because we did some good things. We did a lot of bad things, I know, and now able to say I'm part of what we're doing now. So, and it's all good. It's all good. Well, do you see there in the black right straight ahead?
Who is
that?
that?
The fan? In the black?
Yeah, but
with the necklace on?
Yeah.
Right. That's soon to be Mrs. Koloff.
I have to apologize to my mama down in Houston, Texas for yesterday, last week, coming on here all week trying to take my clothes off, you understand? Because after what happened to me, I wondered what was left. When they take everything from you, when they take all your titles, when they take all the match you won, put everything in perspective, they've taken everything but my clothes, and I got to thinking about an old saying. When you come from the dust, you ain't got nothing but your own birthday suit, you understand? So if I have to wear my birthday suit to get some attention, I will. And that is a fact. Arn Anderson, right now the fans told you, you're next, you're last. leg gonna be broken before it's all over, before it's through. And Tully Blanchard, the national heavyweight champion, running around with my title. Arn Anderson running around my title. The only thing that they ain't got is my lady. And there's another guy out here sporting some fine-looking woman. But let me tell you what, there ain't no lady, no woman, anywhere like the doll is. The doll is number uno. So let me tell you something, Tully Blanchard. You tell Ric Flair we got a date with Destiny in the Superdome, New Orleans, Louisiana. And I don't believe you're going to make it that far. I'll be looking at somebody else across that ring, Ric Flair, Slick Rick. So get ready for the biggest year in the history, because the dream, if I have to take my clothes off and go buck naked, live and in color on television, I'll call my mama and say, darling, don't watch, because I'm going to be running around showing it all. And it's going to happen, Jack.
The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes with Baby Doll. We're coming.
He oozes charisma, but every now and again, he'll just get lost.
Yeah.
He wanted to give a little subtle tongue-in-cheek inside baseball reference for Nikita's gal in the crowd for sure, though.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's Jimmy Jam.
Here on World Championship Wrestling.
It probably should be right down against the law, you know? It should be against the law that this girl and I walk around the country looking so fine. It's a crying shame. It's a crying shame that other people don't take lessons from us. I mean, I know I've told Tony this, and I'm going to tell you people right now. I would appreciate when I travel these arenas across the world. Please, no smoking when I enter the ring, because it gets in Gorgeous Jay's hair. And after all, I got the only head of hair that's insured by Lloyd's of London. And now let's get down to business. Business, business, business. I'm really disappointed. That's right. Gorgeous Jimmy is disappointed. You know, I thought for sure today would be the day when Gorgeous Jay came in here to this wonderful superstation, the Major League of Professional Wrestling, and I would find me some Indian that I've been looking for. Now you say, what kind of Indian is that? And that reminds me of a riddle I got. What weighs 300 pounds, don't have a whole lot of hair, has some stinky beef jerky breath, and is invisible? I don't know.
It's Wahoo McDaniel.
Wahoo McDaniels, of course. I don't see him nowhere. I sent him a plane ticket. He sent it back to me with $1,000 and said, please leave me alone.
Listen, Gorgeous and Precious, he's not here today, but I think we have this word from Chief Wahoo McDaniel, and let's go to that right now.
Oh, well, this is a treat. Let's take a look.
Tony, you're laughing.
The music.
How about that was footage of Wahoo chopping Brody, Flair. How about Bill Alfonso's the referee over there?
Mm-hmm. Bill, Rick Rude sent him too.
Yeah.
Flair's going to do the upside down gimmick. Abdullah.
You're just a shade ahead of me, but my goodness, this is a cool video, but you're making fun of it. Is it because of the chanting? You don't like the music?
Yeah. I just thought it's too campy. It's too cliche-ish.
Dude, him and Brody was awesome.
Yeah. It probably is, as many uneducated idiots out there would say, it's offensive.
Yeah. Well, it's 1986. That's what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, so the footage we're watching right here, this is definitely championship wrestling from Florida, right?
Some of it is, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if Alfonso's the referee, that makes me think that that's where it is. And you know what's interesting is we haven't seen Wahoo this year on TBS.
With us today, but there's a good look at a fine wrestler.
Listen, I'm not going to take anything away from the guy. By the looks of that film right there, listen to those people. I'm not going to take anything away from Wahoo McDaniel. He is a tough man. He is a legend. And I'm not scared. I don't care if you think I'm scared. I'm not scared of the man. I mean, what do you think, baby? What do you think? Do I have
Piece of cake,
It's a piece of cake.
It's a piece of cake.
You heard it right from Precious's mouth. It's a piece of cake. Gorgeous Jimmy is not afraid of that Indian. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. And it don't matter. The fact is this. I'm here and he's not. I didn't send in no video. I didn't send in no film. I came here live and in color. And where's he at? He sends in a video his mother probably put together. And by the way, Wahoo McDaniels, your days are numbered, pal. Let's get out of here.
I don't know if I want to make Wahoo McDaniel mad or not. The one, the only gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with Precious. We're coming right back.
What do you think of the insult beef jerky breath?
What's wrong with that?
All right. How many? How many?
I just laugh when he said, I'm looking for an Indian.
How many I'm coming for yous and babies are we going to get right here? Let's count.
Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup, the Rock and Roll Express.
That's right, Tony. We are in the top 10 seatings right there. That's going to be held there in New Orleans, that $1 million plus that big trophy. I like to say, let me tell you something, Midnight Express. Before we get to the Superdome, we got a lot of matches with Betty Lou's coming out. We might be the new NWA World Tag Team Champions. Before we get to the Dome, we're looking forward to going there. The Midnight Express, you got what we want. That's the NWA titles, baby.
That's right, Tony. Like brother said, for the Jim Crockett Memorial Cup at $1 million, the biggest prize ever in professional wrestling, and we're in the top 10 seedings, and we're going to be there. But now, Jimmy Cornette has come out here, and he has put the rock and roll down time and time again. But Cornette, like brother here said, before we get the Superdome, those world titles are liable to be around our waist, because it can be in Charleston, West Virginia, or it can be in Conway, or anywhere you want to go. We're going to come to put those titles around our waist. And now, week after week after week, Ric Flair has come out here on TV talking about all the little teeny boppers and what they could do. But let me tell you something, Ric Flair. All those little teeny boppers stand up for rock and roll, and I love each and every one of them, so does brother here. So if you got anything to say to the Rock and Roll Express, Robert Gibson or myself, you come out here, do it, and leave all these nice people alone. Tony, good going back.
It's a pleasure, baby.
All right. Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton, the Rock and Roll Express. Let's go to the ring.
Ricky did something there that's really, really important. And I say this because I was a fan. And as a babyface, if you mentioned the town that you were going to,
yeah,
that was good. That was sometimes worth the price. He mentioned Charleston, West Virginia. He mentioned Conway, South Carolina, and he didn't just throw those names out randomly. Those are towns they were getting ready to go to.
Right.
So that's important. I remember back, I lived obviously in Virginia, and we had at times spot shows in a place called the Augusta Expo in Fishersville, Virginia. I remember they would call it Fisherville, Virginia. And then when I started working for Jim Crockett Promotion, I said, guys, it's Fishersville. And they changed it. So anyway, all those years they called it Fisherville, and I had no way to tell them. So anyway, they had Blackjack, who had just turned babyface. He'll be coming to the Augusta Expo in Fishersville. Let's bring in Blackjack Mulligan. And Blackjack took the entire time that he had allotted during that interview to talk about the great people in Fisherville in Augusta County. And he had all those towns, and he knew what to say. And that sold me, and I bought a ticket because of what he said.
Right.
And so it's just, that's so elementary, but so vital to what we were doing back then. Put over the town, put over the people, say something about them. And that brought them in. That was good stuff. And that's what Ricky Morton did. Boom. Flair did that too on his interviews. We heard that. I'm coming to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Or, that's smart stuff, man. I just like the old school subtle way of doing things that, you don't have anymore because we don't run house shows anymore.
I was looking at, songs we could pick for the Crockett tribute video.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself just going through old catalogs and downloading stuff, just trying stuff. And then we settled on the Highwaymen Against the Wind cover of Bob Seger's song. And the, another one that I liked, but I decided, I need to save that and do like a video for Flair one day. But Johnny Cash's I've Been Everywhere, Man, where he just lists all the cities.
Yeah.
I remember him standing by you on this TBS set and just randomly firing off all these cities. And when Cash gets to that part where he's naming them everywhere, I was like, man, that's the jam. And about 3 months ago, back when Coon was a living person and he would still help us with our music and things like that. Well, he's not. He's an invalid. I don't know that you know that.
I didn't know he was an invalid. Only thing I've seen is his scar on social media, and that's about it.
He's bathed one time since he's been out of the hospital a few months ago, and he just lives in a recliner now. So I don't think he'll be able to make music for us anymore. But back before he lost use of his limbs, he was thinking about doing a Mance Warner spoof. I bled everywhere, man. I bled everywhere. But instead of doing like the big towns, it would be, Jackson, Mississippi, just rambling off. Here we go. This is going to be fun.
The national heavyweight champion, and here's the team. Fairly formidable team, I would think.
Your ratings have just taken a phenomenal jump in the last 10 seconds.
I tell you, Tony Schiavone, it was hard-pressed to look for somebody that was as good as the Three Horsemen to be my partner. I tell you what, Flair, we decided he goes on, defends that world title, take Dusty Rhodes down for the last time, New Orleans, Louisiana. 4 seeds, should be number 1. The remaining 2 are the Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson, AA, and Tully Blanchard, the national heavyweight champion.
What 2 athletes are better conditioned than us, more experienced than us? 2 champions combined, Tony Schiavone, are going to be unbeatable. If you want to seed us 24th, do it. We'll beat 6 teams, 8 teams, or every team if we have to win $1 million because we got expensive habits.
And I got news for you. If you think that we can't go out on $1 million in New Orleans and have...
Oh, my goodness. Baby doll is here with us at ringside.
I have a couple of words for all of you. And Arn Anderson, I'm going to start by you. You never beat Dusty Rhodes for the title, and you know it. Tully Blanchard, we all know how you won the title. I'm not going to embarrass everyone by telling you what kind of man you are. And J.J. Dillon, on my worst day, darling, I could knock you into tomorrow. And since you're talking about ratings, about how many people watch us, I am challenging you right now.
What is she has challenged? She has challenged J.J. Dillon right.
You're challenging me.
Just calm down. You're not going to go on national TV and embarrass Dusty Rhodes and James.
Tony Schiavone, that woman will do anything to get a little affection. Any way she can to get somebody to hug her.
I think James is going to go in.
J.J. Dillon is going up against Baby Doll. The challenge has been made. Oh, my. I can't begin to imagine what we're in for. I can't begin to imagine it all. Oh, here's America's team. It's Dusty and Magnum. And they're all in the ring. Oh, Magnum in with Arn Anderson as Tully takes the shoe. Magnum, sunset flip. And Tully comes in for a save.
What the fuck was Pee Wee counting?
Both men with Magnum up. Dusty and Magnum both have him down. Blanchard over the top rope. Belly to belly. And now Rhodes up on the turnbuckle. They have that right leg of Arn Anderson. They have the leg of Arn. Oh! Payback has come to Arn Anderson. They have him again. JJ trying to drag Arn Anderson away. Still they're pulling on him. And look at Magnum. Now they're going for the leg of Blanchard. Arn Anderson is hobbling off the best he can. And there goes Blanchard and Dillon. America's team.
So Tony, I really love what we just watched. I mean, it wasn't the most perfectly executed thing. It didn't feel overproduced. It felt real, and that's why I liked it. But given the fact that they're probably going to be squaring off in this tournament against each other, wouldn't it have made more sense if Dusty wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
and it was Nikita. I mean, I guess you wanted to do that with Baby Doll. We're just going to track it. Who gives a shit what Manny and I mean, what'd you think of that?
Well, I agree with because of what's going on in the Crockett Cup. You don't think it would be Dusty in Magnum, but they always wanted to establish America's team, and they've been wanting to establish that Dusty was going to get back at all of them one at a time. So that was, I guess maybe in their mind, this Jim Crockett Sr. Cup was important, but it was a one-off to the angles they were running on TV. But then again, there's the Nikita thing. You would think Nikita would be involved in it. So, but Magnum and Nikita have had their pull apart. So I can't explain everything. I can't explain why Pee Wee was counting.
It was a lot of nonsense.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, the crowd was into it.
Sure. And I'm sure the people at home are into it as well. And I'm sure these two are saying a little bit of nothing, but that's okay.
Let me give you a spoiler. I'm coming for you. We're coming for you. I'm coming for you. We're coming for you. Here we go.
Together again, baby. And I ain't boxing in the shadows no more. I'm coming out. And when the bull comes out, baby, there ain't no more pushing on. Porque yo soy el hombre, el toro de San Antonio y el corazón de todos los latinos. Cuando yo vengo a luchar, yo vengo a luchar a ganar. Y a mi hijo, el Boogie Woogie, van a ver toda la gente que aquí van a caer el Paul Weasel Jones and Barbarian, T.J. Khan, and Baron Von Raschke, baby. You're messing with the men. And when you're going to mess with somebody, you want to mess with these two. Because we're street proven, daddy. And when we prove it, we stamp you. USDA, ground beef, baby. Because that's what the bull does, and that's what the boogeyman does best. Take care of business. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
And one more thing,
we're coming after you, baby.
We're going to be in that big cup race right there in New Orleans. It's going to be announced next week. We're together forever.
All right, the Raging Bull and the Boogeyman, Jimmy Valiant. Let's go to the ring.
Boy, these fans chanting, they're fucking taking me out of it a little bit.
A lot of kids there.
Yeah.
That day. And when you have a lot of kids, there's a lot of chanting going on.
They're going to be excited.
Yeah. It never did bother me. To me, it just was part of the ambience of what we were doing. So, and I heard the NWA is going to be back taping shows again. Have you heard that?
Yes, they are. I think they're coming back this weekend, in fact, on pay-per-view.
I had a guy one of our guys on Patreon, who's a member of us on the WHW Monday Patreon I didn't realize it, but he takes, he's one of the photographers for them, and he told me that. I didn't realize that. That's good. Hey, I'm for everybody in wrestling getting back to work and being able to make some money. It's good for business. It's good for everybody. The virus, the plague, whatever you want to call it, has certainly taken its toll on everyone, especially independent wrestling.
Right.
It really has. So I'm glad to see that happen. Oh, by the way, just this past Monday, our new show Elevation aired.
Oh yeah, how did it go?
It was pretty good. It was for the first time Paul and I had ever worked together. It was great being able to reconnect with him and talk to him. He's got a great attitude, and it's funny that I remember him as the Giant, okay, in the NWO days. And then all of a sudden, boom, that was it, because I left wrestling, never did watch what he was doing. And all of a sudden he appears backstage, and it's like he has this whole history now behind him that I was unfamiliar with. So it was great catching up with him, and we're trying to elevate the younger stars, which I think is great, doing profiles on them and things like that, and doing some interviews. So pretty excited about it. Pretty excited about it. And I'm glad I'm with him. Good guy. And I played for him the Giant taking a shit.
Oh, with the video that Chris made?
The video. Mm-hmm. I sent that to him.
What do you think?
And he absolutely loved it. He said, "This is fucking wonderful." He said, "I remember somebody confronted me about it because they had seen it online or something years ago." I said, "Yeah, that was us." So that's Paul White, buddy. International star of stage and wrestling. Well, here's Ronnie Garvin.
Hey, by the way, I made an observation while I was down there in Jacksonville. I watched this show to get ahead, thinking you and I were going to get together while we were down there and record some. So I wanted to be prepared.
Yeah.
And as I watched Ronnie Garvin just brutalize this poor motherfucker, I thought to myself, wait a minute. I've seen this before. And I texted a friend of ours and I said, hey man, did you pattern, or how much Ronnie Garvin did you watch when you were first coming up and breaking in? And he replied, a lot. Holy shit. Where did this come from? You're the only person who's ever texted me and or asked me about this, brother. It's Taz.
Wow.
And you watch, you know, the short boots, no knee pads,
right?
Just brutalizing the motherfuckers. It's Taz.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had a whole conversation with him about it. And he's like, dude, not one person has ever asked me that or put that together. Who told you this? I said, nobody. I'm just watching. And I'm like, dude, look at this dude. He's not the biggest dude, but he's like one giant muscle, big old tree trunk legs and little short boots, just stretching guys and brutalizing them. Like if Bill Alfonso was running around the ring, blowing a fucking whistle, and Ron Garvin didn't wear the towel around his neck, he wore it on his head. That's him.
That's right.
You put this motherfucker in a singlet, shave his head, and tell him, don't wear the towel around your neck, pull it up over your head, and we're going to put a fucking little skinny goof behind you blowing a whistle and throw a couple more suplexes. It's Taz.
Yeah. He called him the non-neurotic Taz. Yeah. You're spot on with that, man. And he's wearing orange here. Look at this.
Dude, it was like all over me. And I'm like, how did I never see this? And then he was like, man, who told you this? Nobody. I'm just watching more Ronnie Garvin than ever before.
Yeah. He's always expecting some sort of.
Oh yeah. Somebody stooged him off.
Yeah, I know. Some sort of conspiracy against him. And
we're clearly trying to fuck him. I mean, I know when I wake up every day, I wonder, how can I fuck Taz around? All right, here we go.
Anderson, Tully Blanchard, well, let me tell you something. We're going to be Mr. Nice Guy no more. We've been taken advantage of for the last time. Baby doll come out here strutting her stuff because she was mesmerized by all the gold that's blinding her that used to belong to her a long time ago. I'm talking about the World Television title proudly held by Mr. Arn Anderson. I'm talking about the National Heavyweight Championship belt held by Mr. Tully Blanchard. And she come out here strutting nothing but her butt. And she trying to set me up to get that Doom Squad out here that they call America's team to try and cripple my boys. But they left unscathed, and most important is we still got the hardware.
You know, I tell you what, Dusty Rhodes, you get a point today. You did something I didn't think could be done, but you got one step up. That's like a double jump in checkers because you lost us on a cool moment and you snuck up behind like the dogs you are. You and Magnum T.A. can't get in the ring and face us man to man because right here is too tough for you. He took that from you, and I took this from you last week on national television, Dusty Rhodes. And everybody knows, Magnum, you didn't win the U.S. Heavyweight Championship, so that just goes to show y'all are all second-class citizens. So you come out here and you think and devise this big plan up and sneak up to take down 2 of the 4 horsemen.
It worked.
Well, it worked, and you jumped off, but no broken leg. The man is right here. He's standing there 2 legs. He might have a bruise, but he's getting back in the ring next week. And I am too, but the proof is in the pudding, Arn. We got these, and you got nothing.
Cowboy boot on the leg. How's that leg feeling anyway?
We were up there horse laughing at what was a hilarious situation that Baby Doll wanted to get her hands on JJ for her own personal reason. While we were having a laugh, they jumped us from behind.
You heard about Johnny Bench?
Yeah, that is frustration on their part because, as we said, we've got what you want. You want things, we have things. We have the income that goes with being these champions. We have the prestige that goes with being these champions. And the bottom line is, Dusty Rhodes, you're at the bottom of the heap now. You got to prove yourself. We don't even have to fool with you. You're not even a contender. And as far as America's team goes, We're in better shape than you are. We're better athletes than you are. And we've got our ace in the hole, namely James J. Dillon, which gives us that edge that'll always push us over the top. Tony Schiavone, we are the three horsemen.
Ask me why I'm looking over my back.
Why are you looking over
I gotta
your back?
watch their backs because Dusty Rhodes, Magnum T.A, Ronnie Garvin, and the whole rest of the pack are nothing but a bunch of back jumpers.
Face to face. And they're chasing the pack.
Face to face. Just ask him to come face to face.
Boy, three irate men.
Dude, as I said, I previewed this when we were in Jacksonville. How did I miss that inside baseball reference?
You heard about Johnny Bench?
I can't believe that made air.
Well,
That's
it's
live.
really inside It's really inside baseball. No one knew what was going on.
Here we go with Magnum T.A. Of course, his girlfriend's here, so he's wearing a shirt.
Hey, American, at least we have found one American who recognizes nephew Nikita as being superior athlete.
I am tired of these Magnum T.A. Come on. Talk. How he's in contract and Nikita no sign. You see what I got here? Yeah, these are more than Magnum T.A. Maybe crying little more Magnum T.A. How many wrestlers he says stop a fight before?
Around 20.
Yeah, 15 old Nikita. 5 of all the Magnum T.A.
Last week we tear up the contract Jim Crockett promotion, signed by this Magnum T.A. They embarrass us, they insult us by giving us a contract such as this. The Kremlin won't accept it, nephew Nikita won't accept it. Whenever you're ready to meet our stipulations, our terms, then Nikita, and only then will nephew Nikita meet you on television and defeat you for the United States heavyweight title. You've been avoiding Nikita because you fear him, because he is a better wrestler than you, more ability, stronger than you, and you're going to find it the hard way. It's going to happen. It's inevitable that it's going to happen someplace around the world. Magnum T.A., the time is closing in on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just like you, Road Warriors. Now the time is up for you. Up in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Lansing, Saginaw, inside the cage. Time is up for you. It's not going to be Road Warriors anymore. It's going to be Road Wins. Yes, you heard me. We're going to take great pleasure at beating you up, just like in Cleveland. We're going to do it in double chain match. Oh, what a good time we're going to have. We're going to have you down on your knees, begging for us to stop. We're going to say no after we slap you some more.
Maybe we're going to hurt a little bit, but the Road Warriors going to hurt a lot more than superior Russian athletes.
They talk about this Jim Crockett Memorial, the first Cup Tag Team Tournament, $1 million. Well, we're looking forward to this also. You see, there's a lot of teams that's very upset, a lot of tension. You've seen earlier with this Dusty Rhodes out there, Arn Anderson, trying to break legs. But the intent is there. For $1 million, I know a lot of Americans out there would do something very serious to their own family. Well, you can be sure of one thing. Nikita, my nephew, and myself don't care about Americans or anyone else. We're going to take the $1 million. And Magnum T.A., it is destiny. Nephew Nikita is going to be next United States heavyweight champion.
All right, Ivan and Nikita Koloff. Very briefly right here, we'd like to say happy anniversary to Bob and Linda Owens of Saginaw, Michigan, who celebrated their 56th anniversary just this past Friday. They wrote and told us they watch us each and every week, and they'll be going to the matches Monday night.
Oh, we care.
Congratulations from all of us. Up to you in Saginaw, Michigan. If you'd like to write to us, anniversary announcements of 50 years or more, write to us at World
50 years or more. Boy, after being married to Lois for 50 years, I'm sure that's what you want, a fucking wrestling announcer to say congratulations.
Some people wanted that, but I thought it was priceless. That was after the Russians were screaming. Yeah, so fuck them Russians. So listen, happy anniversary.
Oh, so Mother Russia's going to kill us all. Okay, but first we need to By the way, are we going to talk about Johnny Bench here, or are we going to do it behind the paywall? We do the syndicated
It's got to be
show?
behind the paywall. We've mentioned it before, but
My God. Well, all right. Coming up, the syndicated show, the 605 show. We're gonna we'll long form it for you, Johnny Bench fans.
But the 605 show actually airs before this.
Yes,
but because we're behind, it's kind of airing behind. So you people watching on ad free shows and Patreon, You'll get that here soon. It'll come out together. We don't want to put it on Westwood One.
No, probably.
That was tremendous. It was just a lot about this show. Again, it seems like every week we come up with something really, really good to talk about on the show. And it's amazing because back then you're like, week, next week, angle, next week. Angle. It does get monotonous. It does.
Yeah, it all runs together.
Yeah, sure. But then you go back and you take a look at it, and each and every show we have something else to talk about. You know, I mean, you mentioned Ronnie Garvin, Taz. We've talked about again Nikita and his bride-to-be. And
let me mention later today we're at the Charleston, West Virginia Civic Center Coliseum. On top, it's Rock and Rolls versus the Midnights in a 2 out of 3. The reason Flair's not here, he's down working with Wahoo in the main event in the Bahamas for championship wrestling for Florida. The next day, we've got 2 legit sellout records. One in Asheville, North Carolina with the Midnights and Rock and Rolls. Of course, Jim Crockett, I keep saying Crockett, Jim Cornette in the cage above the ring. They get 5,000 fans there. That night, it's another sellout, another new record. Cleveland, Ohio. We got the Road Warriors in a double chain Russian match with the Russians. Of course, Ron Garvin challenging Ric Flair for the world title. Magnum T.A. working with Tully Blanchard. Arn Anderson working with Dusty Rhodes, and the Midnights working with the Rock and Rolls. Cleveland, Ohio got a hell of a show, did they not?
And they were just talking about that chain match on that interview. So yeah.
On the 18th, it's again another double shot. Flair and Dusty are in Lansing, Michigan. We've got a television taping in Mooresville, North Carolina. On the 19th, 2 shows again, one at the Grand Rapids Stadium Arena, the other at the famed Dorton Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina. On the 20th, 2 shows again, Harrisonburg, Virginia. It's a high school gym. And then
part of my fandom.
That's part of your fandom?
Yep.
Well, there you go.
It's very, very prominent in the Butts and Seats comic coming out.
Oh, we got to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, very prominent.
Also on the 20th, Central States had Harley Race and Bruiser Brody taking on Ric Flair and Bob Brown in a steel cage match, and Pat O'Connor is the guest referee. How about that for a card?
Wow. How about that?
And then 2 more shots on the 21st here in Albany, Georgia, and then in Huntington, West Virginia, 6,000 there. It's a sellout. It feels like West Virginia was a real hotbed for you guys.
Yeah, well, West Virginia was good for us. Charleston's kind of remote. The whole state is mountainous and with pockets of population. So it was a good place. It was. We had one of our first Dynamites there in AEW too, and did well. So it's always been a good wrestling town, always for us. And Charleston, West Virginia, a good state for us. I miss the. And you were talking about the different cards.
Yeah.
I miss the allure of wrestling. And this is kind of what really sold it for me when I was a fan. You would see these bigger than life people beat up people on TV and talk about beating up their adversaries.
Yeah.
But you never saw it on TV. You had to go to the arena and do it. And then when you got to the arena and you saw these, like you saw the Russians come out, and then you saw the Koloffs come out, you would sit in the stand and say, finally, we're finally going to see it happen. We're finally going to settle it. It's changed so much. Here we're going to end the show. Ready?
Yep.
Good to hear from y'all. As everybody knows, Ronnie Garvin in 1986 set out to do something, is to get the belt, wrestling title away from Ric Flair, the world's champion. And I have not given up on it. Ric Flair, Ronnie Garvin, the hands of stones has got coming down hard on you, real hard. That's what it takes. And you're not going to make it to the James Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup, if I can help it. Everybody knows now that Magnum T.A. and I are going to be partners. Well, I asked Magnum his feelings about teaming up with me for that cup, and he said it was fine with him. He was very pleased, and I know I'm very pleased because I couldn't find a better partner anywhere in the world. And I think our chances of winning it are real great because I think we're going to be a great combination. I get butterflies thinking about it, get butterflies in my stomach because I've never wrestled in my life. This is the greatest wrestling event in professional wrestling, in the history of professional wrestling. And we're talking about wrestling for $1 million. Well, I've never wrestled for $1 million.
Like I said, I got butterflies in my stomach just thinking about it. We're talking about prestige. We're talking about the biggest ever. We're talking about teams from other countries. We're talking about the biggest, toughest competition all around the world. And it's really going to be something. I'm very pleased to be in it. And Dusty Rhodes is going to be wrestling Ric Flair. But if I can help it, Ric Flair is not going to make it. But anyway, I'm very pleased again to say, you know, like I say, I got butterflies in my stomach. I've done a lot of things in my life. But I never thought I'd get to wrestle for $1 million.
Brother, you're going to be the greatest partner in the world. We're going to get that $10 million, and a whole lot of people are going to feel the hands of stone and Magnum T.A. taking them out in that memorial tournament.
We'll see you next week on World Championship Wrestling.
Did Dusty send him out to save that?
Yes, he did. Bail him out because he does. He's got butterflies, and then Magnum came out and made it $10 million.
Well, I'm just saying, like you could tell Ron was a little lost.
Yeah, and he had just wrestled, so he was still kind of huffing and puffing. So he was very lost, and it wasn't a good way to end the show. So they sent Magnum out.
Well, chat me up. Let's talk all about buttsandseatcomic.com.
Yep.
We've been talking about this for a while. It's your graphic novel, and you've probably seen tons of folks talking about it on social media, whether it was Ricky Starks or Cody Rhodes or Dustin Rhodes. Lots of big stars are plugging this thing, and it's about to launch, right, Tony?
Actually, what happened was on Tuesday, the 16th, it opened up. The Kickstarter did. And the Kickstarter is going to go for, I believe, a month, if I'm correct. And we'll see where it goes from there. And then we'll take it's kind of like Kickstarter's like a pre-order or whatever. And for our fans on who are with us on ad-free shows and who are with us on my Patreon channel, they were saying, can we get autographed copies? And the answer is, of course you can, if you're one of our members. It's really exciting. And it talks about, one of the first chapters talks about me as a fan, taking my members of my family to a wrestling match at Harrisonburg High School gym. And something very unique happened that night in my family, because my family, I purchased the entire front row of ringside.
Wow.
And that kind of started everything off for me. So I went to college in Harrisonburg, went to James Madison. So and I was going to college at that time, and it was like 78, I think. And I walked over and bought the whole front row, which I think was for Harrisonburg, like 15 tickets. I'm not sure, 20, I can't remember. Butts and Seats, it's buttsandseatscomic.com, buttsandseatscomic.com. We've got some great artists. We got a different artist for every chapter. We've got special stories that are bonus chapters, and Dirk Manning wrote it. And of course, so we can't forget Drina Joe, who's the editor, and Dave Silva, who's helped out on this, and obviously Mike Dawkins, who was the orchestrator of getting all this together. So I'm really excited about it. My life has been a cartoon in many ways.
I'm sure with Dave Silva involved, it'll stay out of the ditches, and I'm sure that you're going to get an invoice for more than what you actually grossed from Mike Dawkins. So
yeah.
But here's the deal. We need to support this because this could be the beginning of something pretty big, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'd like to think it's going to be because I'm really, really, I love comics and always have. I wasn't the comic collector that Jim Cornette was, or that even Christopher Daniels is. And he's another big comic book guy, but I was big into comic books and superheroes all my life. And so this makes me feel like I'm part of that world now. So it's special for me. And it's special for me to be able to tell my story in pictures. And it's funny, my grandson, one of my grandsons, Jackson, who's 11 years old, they're trying to get him into reading more. And, this age, kids that age, they're video games and TV and things. And it's really important to read. And his teacher said, probably it'd be a good idea to get him interested in the reading, let him start out with graphic novels. And I went, ding. I got the perfect one for him. So it's going to be called Butts and Seats. And the Kickstarter just came out. And then later on, it'll be printed and then we'll have it out by this late spring and summer.
Well, check it out if you haven't already. It's buttsandseatcomic.com. That's just going to forward you right over to the Kickstarter. We're pretty excited about this, and we hope you are too. Go check it out. Don't forget to also check out our tribute video to Jim Crockett Jr. on Instagram over at Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. if you'd like to check out part 2 of that interview with Mr. Crockett, it just loaded over at adfreeshows.com. And we'll be back next week. And every week we still can, talking a little Jim Crockett Promotions 1986. As soon as we finish here, we're going to go record the syndicated show and talk a little Johnny Bench. Tony, it looks like it's about that time.
It is about that time. James J. Dillon is in the ring with a baby doll, and James J. is strutting around the ring, and oh my goodness, you can tell where the Johnny Bench tagline came from, can't you? Yes, you can. We're desperately out of time. We'll see you on Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling for the rest of the story. Until then, we'll see you next week on What Happened When. We come to you each and every Wednesdays on Westwood One. But Mondays, we are on
Patreon, patreon.com/WHW Monday. Or, of course, adfreeshows.com.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.